Hello and welcome along to another Finnart from the Toll podcast. As ever, it's Toby here, talking all about Finnart, past and present. So if you're a player, parent, coach, or more importantly, a fan of Finnart, then this is a place for you as we take a look down the mic from the Toll at all things Finnart. Morris Star. Our guest this week is none other than man. He's played in Finnart for over 17 years, starting off at the under-16s. Along the way, he's been in league cups, league titles, all from the ages of 16 to 21s. Clean sweeps have been included there along the way at certain levels. Also picking up a Player of the Year award a few times along the way, and the top goal scorer, believe it or not, in 1 year. He's also won the Scottish Cup with the amateurs on a Sunday. A big hello and welcome to the club's current captain, all-round good guy, Stephen Wilson, also known as Dugs for Hayfield. Dugs, hello and welcome.
How you doing, Toby?
Not bad, mate, not bad. Let's get the Dugs out of the way. How did Dugs come about then? For people who don't know you.
People think this is a funny story, or people expect a funny story with this one, but it's not even really funny at all. It's all goes back to probably you and Doe, back in the pub, back in the Hayfield, as you said. There was a guy in there called Dougie Walker, who used to be called Dugs, and he was just spitting image of my dad, so everybody just started calling me Dugs because he used to starting it.
That's it.
And then it just kind of stuck.
So anyway, looking at that Barnet, I've been asked to ask Big Stubbsy, are you trying to grow a Scotty Sinclair hairdo, or is it something like Michael Stewart but with less hair?
I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. It's the most hair I've ever had in my life, that's for sure. So right. I'm quite enjoying it.
Talking about enjoying it, how you obviously you're not enjoying your time in lockdown. Are you still been working, or have you been off?
Still been working. I was off for a few weeks there, but I was back on Monday. So all the way through it, we've been working from home. So not really had much time as everybody else to sit and do nothing.
Aye. Well, I've seen your press ups and that as well, so well done on that, mate. Let's get into the football stuff. Obviously, you've been playing with that long. You've been through many managers, so let's go right back to the start. If you can remember, and take us through your time at Finnart for your first manager, your team, and then we'll take up and we'll just stop before you get to 21s, and then we'll talk about 21s. So let us know your first manager at Finnart.
The first manager I had down there was Craig Button was involved back then, and I'm sure it was him and Mark Ainsley as well at the same time. I went down, it was probably nearly end of the season, and they were actually South Lanark at the time, or we were still South Lanark at the time, and it was under 16s. A couple of boys that I was in school with, Macca, they kept on asking me. He was in my techie class in school. He would ask me to go down all the time, but also one of the boys for Dundalk was playing for him at the time as well, Harvey, and he kept asking me to go down. So I eventually went down. Played a few games towards the end of the season that year. Believe it or not, I picked up an injury actually. I'm playing in a semi-final. I think I scored the second goal. I was running through the goalkeeper, and my studs get stuck in the grass, and my knee just kind of jarred, and I just kind of messed up the ligaments a wee bit on them. So I had a brace for about 6 weeks after that. And that's where it all started really. And then it was kind of a different manager after that for every year. I think Mark Ainsley still stayed involved the next year, but Jim Burns came in. They two were pretty much my first full season when I was there. And then Brian had a wee spell himself. So we've kind of went full circle on that one with Brian's a manager again. Brian was at East Fife for a spell then, and played a bit of junior football as well before he went to the amateurs. So he had a bit of time on the Sunday to come and take us. He was there for a few years. And when we got to under 19s, under 21s, which we'll go into, we had chicks, John Carmichael, Danny Charles all involved at that point as well. So a lot of good guys involved. Certainly a lot of guys who had played amateur football for years as well, knew a lot about amateur football. So there's quite a lot to learn off you guys.
So obviously you've took us a wee bit of history and memory lane that coming up to the 16s, 21s. So as we get to 21s, especially 21s, because I remember when I'm watching you 21s, good, really good group of boys, but also a good team. You said a good team, a good squad. Who would you say was the main player in that team? And was there ever anybody in that team that you thought, here, by the way, they shouldn't be playing here, they should be playing at a higher level?
There's probably a few players like that, to be honest, Toby. We had some team, and even for our kind of last year at 21s, we had boys that came in and had played at Pro Youth maybe the year before and just weren't really enjoying it at Pro Youth, but they could have definitely still have played. We had boys like, well, Andy Blair had been there for a couple of years. He was obviously involved with Rangers for a while. He could have easily went on to somewhere else. Craig Hardy had come in that year. I think he just left Livy. So we had boys like that coming in. Gareth, Willie MacArthur. We'd a cracking team, to be honest. So a lot of the boys could have went on and played elsewhere and played at a higher level. So I wouldn't say there was maybe one standout, because there was quite a few there.
Would you say that your 21s team would be the best squad you think you've played with?
Aye, well, maybe that squad, even at 21s, for the 2 years maybe leading up to that, the under 18s, 19s, and then into 21s, a lot of the boys were all the same. The core group of boys was pretty much there all the way through that, and not even just for the ability wise, but the social aspect to it as well. You were with them every single week. We used to play on a Sunday back then, and it was a case you'd be training during the week, Tuesday, Thursday, and then especially at 21s when John and Chixie were there, it was a case of them saying, right, got a big game on Sunday, don't you go out. And Saturday, and lo and behold, we'd be out on the Saturday night. A lot of the time we'd book the name as well, right enough.
Exactly.
we turned up for a game one Sunday, and Chixie hadn't turned up yet. It was like 1:15, and John's like, is Chixie going to turn up? And you're like, well, I don't know. We left him in the pub at 4:30. And that was when we used to have lock-ins in the pub, so things like that used to happen all the time, but you were with these boys all the time as well, so that was probably the most enjoyable part as well.
You're saying there, I know obviously there's a good squad these days, so going through for that transition for the 21s to the amateurs on a Sunday, who sort of came along with you? Many players made that transition for the 21s to the amateurs and your squad.
Probably a good 7 or 8 years were there, to be fair.
So it was like yourself, Billy, Gareth, Craig, who else?
Initially, we still had Kev, John Carmichael, Kev Ainsley, John Carmichael, Chris Bell came up as well, Lee Weir, Ryan McPhee. A lot of these boys left after maybe a year or so, but a lot of these came through together. Me, Andy Robertson, I think who else. But I think there was a few of us that were all still involved for the first couple of years when we went amateur, either on the Saturday or the Sunday, or both of them.
So, thinking about that period of time, who was your goalie at 21s? Big Billy?
Billy played noon again in goals, but we had we had a couple of boys from Hamilton that came down. There were 2 twins, the Juris twins. One of them was in goals, and one of them played on the left-hand side. With them, but Big Billy did have a few spells in goals as well.
You said 2 sets of twins, I think he's playing in your teams. The other one's Mark and, was it McKelvey or something?
That was the ones, that was younger, that was the boys younger than us as well. Mark and Barry McKelvey.
It's mad when you think about it, but same with yourself, mate, all your full families, all football players, but I still say Ross is the best.
Probably is, aye.
You said a good squad at the 21s going through. I remember, obviously, everybody's probably spoken about it. I know at some point that the Irvine trips were amazing, just going down the beach, and the wind was unbelievable. And Phil had people running with parachutes and all that one.
I know, man.
Really taking up. And John past me, going backwards. You know what I mean?
Aye, and that's where it all came into the social aspect of it all as well, because you knew everybody had known each other for years. There was everybody just got on. It was your pals. It wasn't just football. It was everything after football as well.
Do you remember Halloween? Who was it had the operation of heat? Was it John or was it Lee?
Lee, when he had the operation in his neck.
I was punching the back and he was a lot of goals. What are you doing? At Halloween Halloween party. All nights like that, and the Scotsman, everybody fancy dressed up. I would just say it was every weekend. It was and then obviously once the football was on the Saturday as well. Sunday was always good, don't get me wrong, but once it went to Saturday, it was like, and the Sunday stoked, it was a totally different atmosphere because nobody did, well, I don't think a lot of the guys went out to Friday night because they were more focused on the Saturday because they knew as soon as the game was done, we were out and we were out all night.
Aye, the Saturday did. Once the Sunday stopped, Saturday became a bit more important to everybody. There was a wee bit more commitment for everybody at the start, and that probably showed when we were building up for the first few years in the Saturday amateur. We had eventually had a couple of good runs in the Scottish and the West as well, but then after that it kind of tailed away a wee bit. We started losing a few boys. Boys not committed, and then the other boys that were committed were just getting fed up.
I know that we're doing all that, I've touched on it, trying to get people to come, it's hard enough, you know what I mean? But it's just one of these things, football comes and goes, you know what I mean? It depends, fits and starting, work takes here, I know a lot of commitment into your work as well, especially if you're going like 19s, 20, 21s, it's different from when you start, I'm not saying you're not an adult at that age, but you've got other commitments, you just want to go out and have a laugh, a joke, a carry on. After that, you start to maybe get your own house and you've got the missus, maybe if somebody's boys have got a couple of ains, and then priorities come in, work comes first, you know what I mean? So I can really share this. But obviously you're saying there, like, you've not been sitting about like people and all that not a lot of time, but how have you been managing to keep in touch with the squad during the lockdown period? So is it just like, obviously the WhatsApp group and things, everybody's got that. I was just saying to the other boys as well, how are they keep in contact with you? Been doing fitness-wise yourself, obviously, as I said, you've done the press-up challenge and things like that, which is great. But other than that, have you been going out runs and different things?
I've been keeping myself going really since we stopped. So I'll try and get a run every couple of days. I was first just doing like wee 5Ks or just going out a jog all the time, but I've mixed that up a wee bit because that was getting a bit boring. So I'll get a run one day, the next day I'll maybe do a wee circuit out in the garden. But I've done a wee bit more interval training now, so a couple of the boys have been out as well doing the same thing. Been out with Kieran and Dale a couple of times, so trying to just do things like that and just keep ticking out because there's not really much you can do.
The good thing is it's sort of a changing now. The dates are getting relaxed and things, and it's like one you can hang into six. I think it's like 6 now you can train. And I was saying maybe the 6 people can meet up for a training session.
Aye.
As long as you're keeping social distancing. So obviously that's good as well. And it'll be good to. And it doesn't mean you just meet up with 6 people. You can meet up in a squad of players and have your own zones. You know what I mean?
Aye.
You could do a circuit in your sixes, so to speak.
Aye. It's hard, but I think when it gets to that stage though, because you're talking about if you're trying to book places as well, you're trying to book things for some of the rules that I've seen going about in other places where there's only like 30 people allowed on a park at the one time to try and stop social distancing. So if you split a football park into 3 sevens, that's only 10 people in each park. You can't train like that. No, that's not going to be sustainable for any team to be able to do that.
I think that's how, like going, like you're saying, like you've been out a run, going runs, maybe meeting up together and just using a bit of derelict grassland or whatever, just try to get something in where it might not be what you're used to or as intense, but at least you're still there as a unit, as a team, and you don't have to be in that distance. I mean, as I said there, you can break into wee groups of 6 and still do a circuit, and you're all still together, you can still have a wee bit of banter, and you can have a sit down at the end of it, talk about it, and just basically get a bit of hang back together, a bit of team morale back, you know what I mean? You're actually together as, you're not playing games or whatever, but that will come eventually, you know what I mean? I don't think it'll be much long before they decide that you'll be able to play football. I mean, all right, the big leagues are doing it. Obviously, they're getting tested and what have you, but I think there's going to come a time because they're saying that the kids' football is looking maybe, I think it's end of July, maybe August or something they're saying. So, shouldn't be that long before the amateurs start as well. You know what I mean? But
no. The kids' football, they'll definitely be the first ones to get back, won't they? I don't know when we'll go back. Hopefully it isn't too long.
What's been your hardest? What's been the hardest things during this? You know what I mean, as a player and obviously as just a person, what's been the hardest for you?
Just try to keep yourself going, to be honest with you, because I mean everybody's in the same boat. A lot of people out there are probably in worse situations. I'm all right. I've been working from home, so that takes up half my day, Monday to Friday. So, and then I'll maybe do a wee run or do a wee circuit at night. Kills a bit of time as well. So if you can just keep yourself working towards something, then you'll keep yourself going. But there's people out there that have got nothing to do all day, every single day.
See that's I don't understand how people, but it's hard. How hard is that, right? That you're not doing anything, but you've got people, and no disrespect to them, they're doing that. They've been doing that for 5, 6 years of their life, and
Aye,
that's great.
I know.
I cannot do that for the life of me. I'm on holiday next week for up, mate, and I've got already 4 bike journeys planned. I'm putting a fence in around my back. I can't sit about my backside to. I can't watch Judge Judy and fucking shit.
Oh,
I mean,
I know.
it's not happening for me.
Morning.
But so when you're back, so how are you feeling now, fitness wise? How are you feeling?
I'm not too bad. I'm probably as fit as I've been about, I don't know, maybe the last 4 or 5 years, to be honest.
Well, in the last 4 and 5 years, a really bad injury. So you've done great to get back for that. Tell us how that felt like, because there was nobody near you, and all of a sudden you're just sort of it's done. I'm done. I'm done. I mean,
It wasn't funny at the time, but it's funny now. Well, probably more so for anybody else that was watching it, because it must have looked, I don't know, it must have looked so funny anyway. But we were playing with Shaw Wickham, I'm sure it was. We were drawn. I think there's about 2 minutes to go in the game of that, and we've got a corner. We're trying to get the winning goal. I wasn't going up for a corner, so there's no point in me getting up. I'm not going to win any balls in the box. So I'm back for the corner, and the corner goes wrong. They end up breaking on us, and they're coming down the left-hand side. So I turn and try and run back, and I just hit the deck. Just this sudden pain in the back of my heel, and I felt like a kind of snap. And that way, when you feel as if you can hear it as well, if that makes sense.
right.
And I thought, is that my shin guard that just snapped there? But everything all happened at the same time. You get this pain, you can feel something snapping, and I just didn't know what was going on. So I'm lying there, the game's going on round about me. The game eventually stops. I think the ref blew the whistle, and he can Jerry's that's everything all right? And I'm like, I don't think so. I think I've just ruptured my Achilles. It just straight away, I just kind of knew what it was, and I couldn't walk. But it must have been so funny, because I honestly thought somebody had kicked me when I turned to run away. I thought the boy next to me had kicked me, but it turns out he was about 15 yards away from me. So for everybody else watching it, it must have been so funny. But I knew straight away I had done something that was pretty bad. So I get carried into the changing room. I wasn't really listening to what was going on in there after the game, to be honest, because I looked down at my legs. I got my socks in half, and I looked at my right leg. That one was fine. You can see the Achilles. You can see it all there. My left leg just had nothing there, and when you touched it, it was just like a sponge, and there was nothing there at all. And I thought, that's something seriously wrong with that.
So how long were you out for?
All in, it was probably before I actually got back kicking a ball. It was probably about between 10 or 11 months, I think, probably about 11 months before I was actually kicking a ball again. In fact, you know what? It's probably about 12 months. It happened in the end of March, and I don't think I went back actually kicking a ball or playing a game until March, the following March. So, it's a strange one, because it's. Oh, I kind of knew it had happened, but that night I went out of the hospital, and I'm already checking to see how long you're out for with a ruptured Achilles, and the different treatments and all that for it. But the different treatments are only available if you are a professional athlete or if you're paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
When you're just the average Joe off the street, they just put you in a stookie for a month and point your feet. It's weird, because they need to point your feet down the way, and basically your tendon just fuses back together. So they point your feet down the way, both ends of your tendon are touching, and that just kind of fuses back together. So you're in a stookie for a month, and it was just weird. You're sitting about, you've got nothing to do, something that you've done every 2 or 3 days. Just
nothing at all.
Away for you.
The good thing about it was you were still very vocal and still supportive, because you were there for every game. You know, you went along supporting the boys all through it.
Aye, but once I've been doing it a couple of games when I had the stookie on, but it was a wee bit weird with the stookie on, because you need to keep the weight off it, and it was a bit annoying. So I missed a few games at the start, but once the stookie came off after the first month, they put you in one of these big boots, which wouldn't look out of place on Robocop or something like that. So put you in one of these, but at least you can put some weight on it and it supports you a wee bit more. But your foot's still sitting like that. I think I was in that for about 8 to 10 weeks, as well as a Stookie for 4 weeks. So, aye, it was strange. But once the boot was on, it was all right. You can go down and watch a few games and walk about.
So obviously, during all that time, did you start to get involved with the coaching and kind of help the team rather than just, obviously you're watching and you're vocal anyway when you're on the pitch, but did you start seeing yourself as like wanting to help and try and do other things other than just coming along and supporting it that way?
Well, I was doing. I mean, Brian and John were there at that time. John Jarvis, so they were. I went down just to give them a horn. You can't sit about and feel sorry for yourself. So I had it in my mind I was going to get back into it anyway, but I didn't know if I was going to get back into it or not. So I just wanted to keep myself involved in some way. But aye, it was weird because after the first kind of few weeks after it happened, and I was back doing it a few games, you hear people talking, and because of what it was, I had never known anybody that had done it, to be honest with you. I think Willie Wallace had said he'd done it, and after that he couldn't play again. And a few other people just kind of thought that was going to be it. So straight away, that was something in my head where I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to stop playing just because of that. It was a wee bit in my head that I was definitely going to come back. But I think after I'd done it, Koscielny done it for Arsenal in the Europa League. He done the exact same thing. I think he thought Big Costa had done something to him when they were playing Atletico Madrid. And Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think, done it as well not long after it. So it was weird. I'd never known anybody that had done it. I've never known it as an injury to somebody, but it happened seemed to be happening all the time after that.
Right. So, not saying your time's up or anything, but when you were involved with the kids, weren't you? You were doing the coaching with the mini kit or stuff like that. Do you see yourself staying about after you're finished playing with Finnart and hopefully maybe not saying the next 2, 3, 5 years, but once you decide to hang the boots up, do you think you'll help coach or you'll go into coaching with Finnart?
Aye, somewhere. I don't know where, but to be honest with you, I'd maybe prefer to go in a bit younger and work with a lot of younger boys, but you need the time, and that's where Phil tried to get me involved with one of the teams years ago, which probably about 5 years ago now, I think it was. And I think Danny Taylor used to run them with Dougie, but I think Danny it was getting too much for Danny, and I was wanting somebody else to get in. Well, what he said to me was, can you go in and give Dougie a horn for a few games? It was near the end of the season just to keep things running so they can keep going for next year. So me and Phil turned up to this game, right? And Dougie's standing outside. He's like, all the boys are in there and all that. He's like, right, what you want to do today? I'm like, what are you talking about, Dougie? I don't even know any of these boys. Phil hadn't told Dougie that I was only going along to help out. I think Phil had told Dougie I was going to take it. And Dougie's expecting me to get in and do all this big spiel to all these boys. I didn't have a clue what was going on. But helped Dougie. Dougie had put a lot of time in, to be fair.
Dougie was really good. Him and Danny. Danny got a lot after Dougie. Dougie put a lot into it as well. He still talks about Finnart and all that. So he did. And Dougie, he put his heart and soul into it. You know that yourself, mate.
It does, and I think that's where, even now helping out, you can go down and Phil, we used to say it anyway, go down and help out with somebody and maybe take a wee training session, but I don't want to turn up to somebody's team and say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. If I'm going to do it, I would rather do it right, and you'd be fully committed to doing it. Because these other guys put in a lot of time as well. There's too much time, isn't it? It takes up half of their week, and they're not getting paid for it either.
That's it.
So I would want to get involved, but whenever I stop playing, that'll probably happen.
Right. So, obviously, we're talking about back and forth. How does the current squad you're in the now rate with previous squad that you've been part of, even for the 21s and the amateurs, the Sunday? So, what is this current squad of players like now, and how would you rate it against the other ones you played in?
It's probably similar in terms of when we first came through for the 21s, like ability-wise anyway. There's a lot of cracking young players that have come up there the last year or two for under 21s. So there's definitely a lot of potential there to go and push on. The sad thing was when we done it, we got to a stage where, as I said earlier, we played Drumchapel and that, and we got a couple of decent runs in the West and the Scottish, but after that we never kicked on again. Rather than maybe getting a couple of boys in, we lost a couple of boys and it just kind of went away for a few years. So there's definitely potential there. Ability-wise, there's probably no much different, but in terms of winning stuff, we were always winning stuff for like 16 to 21s, and then even the first few years. So it's hard to compare the new. Maybe the next few years we'll be able to figure that one out and see what team is better.
You were saying they're always winning things. Winning tap goal scorer. How come you're not front anywhere? How do you end up going backwards?
I don't know. It must. Do you know what I think it was? To be honest, well, nah, because even at 21s, I went back a wee bit at 21s, but I was quite quick. Believe it or not, I don't think anybody will believe that now, right enough. But I used to be alright up front, and I was quite quick. I was actually quite strong and all for that kind of age group, even though I was only a wee kind of guy. So, I was alright. And I think when we eventually hit the amateurs, this will be another injury that you can record on this one. So, I think I had a hernia towards the end of when we were playing 21s, which is another weird injury for somebody. I don't think anybody else had one of them that I know either. And I started that first season at the amateurs, and I just came back for an operation during the summer. So I think Gareth had started playing up front that season at the first season we went amateurs, and Gareth and Danny had started really well. So probably just a timing thing with that. And then I was playing out wide for a lot in the first few years. And then a couple of years after that, it was a case of moving into the middle because, I don't know, just that was probably a natural thing.
Was that today Brian's work?
Might have been. To be fair, Brian done quite a lot of work. He was able to go up and down the park, no bother.
So what is your favourite position, and where do you actually play now? Because I've been doing, you've played, as you say, left mid, centre half. I mean, so you're everywhere. What is your favourite position you would like to play, and where do you actually play?
I would prefer to play centre mid all the time. That's where I can still see it. Before I got that last injury, I was playing at the back a bit actually with me and Brian, and we were actually doing all right, to be fair. So, but when I came back last season, or the season before that one there, I came back and I don't know. There was a spell where I wasn't really enjoying it, and I don't know. I'd spoke to Brian after I'd come back, and I thought maybe I just wasn't going to be able to get back playing. And maybe I was just going to struggle because there was just a couple of games that were in my head when I was playing at the back, and I thought I've just struggled there. I'd done an absolute nightmare, and it was just annoying me. But talking to Brian, we just had a wee honest chat about it, and kind of put it behind us and moved on from there. And we were after last season there, kind of pushed on a wee bit, and that, so it worked all right. But I prefer playing in the middle. I prefer being involved, to be honest with you. Playing at the back's all right, but sometimes I can't really defend.
So it's not your cup of tea, but if it needs to be, you'll do it.
Aye, and I think that's always been the case.
Aye, well, that's a team player, isn't it? So if you're wanting to play here, there, and anywhere, if it's helping the team, and that's what you do. So aye, fair enough. Looking back here early years, so all the teams you've played with, who would you say has been a big help for you? Who's helped you along the way in the team?
Well, a lot of people, to be honest. One player that probably gets a lot of stick, or one guy that gets a lot of stick, is probably Danny Taylor. As much as he was an absolute pain, he was right most of the time in what he says to you, and he does always, in his weird way, he's trying to help everybody when he's moaning at them, and he only moans at people because he expects better after them. So that alone, when you get by that initial thought where you want to knock him out, you know he's only trying to help players when he's doing it. So he's a big help. Brian's obviously been there for years. And even if I go back to when I was younger, guys like Chixie and John Carmichael and all that, the wee things you pick up after these people, even Mark Ainsley, Jim and Craig, that they know the game, do you know what I mean? So they were involved with it for long enough. So everybody that kind of was involved early years, you pick up different wee bits for them, and you pick up a lot for other boys that you've played with as well.
What about your days at Blackburn? Did they install any any ability or technique? Did they managers fill you with any ideas or ability Did they help you on your road? Who are your managers?
That's what you talk about yourself there, Toby. Nah, well, to be fair, do you know what also helped? You were probably involved in this as well with the Urban Fox side of things, but we used to have a game down Kilmarnock all the time on a Wednesday night. And see, just playing football, any kind of football just helps you. And we used to have different guys coming down. There was a couple of brothers that worked for the Urban Fox as well.
John and Tam Donnelly, amazing players, mate. Amazing.
They were frightening at times. They used to take part now and again. They were older guys at this point, but they were still brilliant. The touching on that for them was absolutely brilliant. So even wee things like that and wee things that are run about the community are always good. Remember Robert Pritz came down and all, remember that?
Yep, that was down to Trixie as well. Trixie got him down.
So there was a lot of wee things like that run about, just wee local things that just help you.
Aye. Well, going back to that saying there, Pritz, we also years ago we had Charlie Miller down as well. Down the man, know what I mean?
Aye, that was the first autograph I got as a football. For any football players was Charlie Miller's.
Aye.
Put it on a post-it note for about 3 weeks now, and I just binned it.
Aye, so you've had quite a good, let's see, upbringing in the football. As you say that, I actually forgot about the football where the Urban Fox and that down there on the way. It was a Wednesday night, I know.
Aye, Wednesday night.
It was a cracking game, I know, because it was only supposed to be on for an hour and ended up playing for an hour and a half, an hour and 45, 2 hours. And
Aye.
John and Tam only got paid for an hour to do the coaching. Know what I mean? But they enjoyed it that much. I know that they obviously stayed on.
Aye.
But aye, it was good. And you usually said it was like yourself, Harvey, Big Spence, like Ernie would play, Rooney would play, Ali, Stubbs. They were all, everybody was there.
Aye. It ended up just a game. I think it was only supposed to be for like a certain age group, but it ended up because it was a good game. Everybody just used to get involved and it would go on for a while, as you said.
That's it. Aye. So future, the last game you're supposed to play obviously was the final. That's going to be the first game back, I'm led to believe. How do you think? How did you feel obviously when you get told? How did you feel when it got called off?
Oh, it was frustrating. I was sitting in work. It was the day of the final, the game got called off, and I was sitting in work, and it's going on the WhatsApp chat and all that everything's going into lockdown and things might be cancelled. And I'm thinking, we've got a game tonight. They can't cancel it tonight. That's too short notice. Surely they'll just cancel it for next week onwards or something like that, because everything seems to start on a Monday, remember?
Unless you're a Monday club, it's a Tuesday you go to.
So I think it was about 12:30. It comes on. It's on the WhatsApp group chats. Nothing official in that, but and we're seeing the Twitter things. I don't think Brian had the phone call yet, but the Twitter feeds up. The SAFA, all games are going to be cancelled from now going on, and this includes cup finals, blah blah blah. And then I think the league put it up as well, and then got in touch with Brian. So it was weird because I think I took a half day actually that day to get in for work.
Did you get a reimbursed for you, man?
In fact, no, do you know what it was? We do a kind of pool. Lanny's will take that an early finish every Friday, so I do early finish. So I don't need to take a half day. And it was just everybody was just buzzing, you know, it's a cup final, so yeah, you're just looking forward to it, and then all of a sudden it's away. And that was it. That was the last time I've kicked a ball since.
So, as I said, that'll be the first game going back. Obviously, you need to get a couple of friendlies, and the good thing, I know we obviously talk about when people playing friendlies, you can't play this, can't do that. The good thing that we've got a 21, so if nobody else wants to play, our 21s will surely play. There'll be enough people. I'm sure we've got enough bodies to get a couple of competitive games before that final, to get guys a wee bit of match sharpness back, a bit of match fitness, get your feet back in the ball, be involved in a game. So what do you want for the coming season? And obviously, ultimate aim is to get promotion. But what do you want as a team?
Well, as you said, the first game back's going to be the cup final by the looks of it. So that's probably going to be a massive gain for the rest of the season. If you go out and win a cup final, your first game back, it sets the bar for the rest of the year, and that's it. So that game's probably massive. So we were probably going to get promoted. I'm pretty confident we'd have got promoted last year. I think we'd have won the league. I was pretty confident going into the cup final that day as well. So you don't know what's going to happen now. I think the teams are going to turn up. It's going to be the first game. You're not really too sure how that cup final is going to go. But we need to get promoted this year, and we need to get a couple of runs in the west of the Scottish I wouldn't mind a wee trip away, to be honest with you. As you know, you've probably been involved in a couple. The wee trips away are good. It's good for all the boys to get away as well. No, obviously good. You need to get away, get the result, but coming back is...
Aye. It's different, mate. The team bonding is totally different on the bus.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I mean, you know, we were talking about the Irvine stuff with Brian and that, and all, like coming back in the bus and having to strip off, but
I mind that.
That
was Big Stubbs, by the way, as well, for trying to slag me for my hair.
So just with that, mate, and as you say, it's a good laugh, carry on, you know what I mean, and it brings you together. I mean, you know, early years we go out on the Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays with the team that you're playing with, the managers, the coaches, and the people come along and watch it. And many times you used to go in the Scotsman and all the audience are like, right away, how you going today? All Jack with a hat and all that, remember them? And wanting to know right away. And it's the community takes a wee bit of pride, you know what I mean, when they were winning. So it would be good. And I always say, I want an Aberdeen tie or something stupid, man, miles away. So Big Phil was off his seat, you know what I mean? But
we didn't have one last year. We were away to Stirling all the time last year, but I wouldn't really class that as... I mean, it's about an hour away at the worst, but you wouldn't class that as an actual away day. Whereas, I think there was 1 year when we were in the Scottish Amateur League, we had Loch Gilphead in the Cup, we had Campbelltown in the league, and Oban in the league. So we had 3 trips away in the 1 year.
Yep.
It's not really good for your liver, but it's
brilliant. All dressing up, you know what I mean? So
when you turn up in fancy dress and get off the minibus and the other team's not got a clue what's going on.
Who's the reindeer guy? That's all right, he's a video, mate. I'm the same, mate. I want promotion as you do, because it was pretty hard watching that last season, and then the way that league finished, you didn't get what you deserved, didn't get the cup final. But the good thing is, the cup final is going to be starting back the first game. And then hopefully, as you say, you hit the ground, you win that first bit of silverware, that sets you up for the season quite nice. And at every level, that is, I believe that at every level of football, the first trophy you win in the season sets you up. So if you win the first trophy that's available, that kicks you on, gives you a boost confidence-wise. Or everybody's buzzing, you've won something together, you've got that monkey off your back, you've not won anything, and you're the first team to win something, so then everybody's out to try and get you. So they're raising a game, it makes in turn makes you raise your game, so it makes you play that wee bit 5, 10, 20% better, whatever it may be. So I do think that also. I do hope he's win the cup, and he's continue the form you said last season, because I do agree with what you're saying as well, mate. I couldn't see he's no winning the league last season, to be fair. It's just unfortunate that the way things have happened. But for me, definitely going forward, it would be absolutely brilliant to see us get promoted and win that cup right away for the off, mate.
Aye. I think that's it. I don't think you can look much further than that now, to be fair. Based on, I don't know. You don't know how things are going to go over the next few weeks.
Exactly, you don't know what's coming in the next few weeks, mate. So, always say this. So I said to Brian and that as well. Strip-wise, what's your favourite strip you've had at Finnart, and what's your favourite strip of all time, any team in the world?
Any team in the world? I don't know about that one, but the Finnart ones, we've had a couple of no bad ones. I quite like the white strips. We've got one now that's like a white one that's got some thin blue horizontal lines across it, which is quite nice. I don't think the white ones look quite snap.
Is that the fitness or something sponsors, isn't it?
Aye, Team Train Fitness, aye. And that's quite a nice one. We had a white one a good few years ago as well. I think we wore it in the Scottish Cup final, actually. So that was quite a nice one. But the white ones always look smart. The problem is...
dirty, mate.
You can't really wear a white strip now, can you?
Aye. You're getting bogging, man.
Aye. But aye, that one was quite nice. My favourite strip of all time. Where did we go? I'm not too sure about that one, Toby. You've got me off. I don't really have a lot of strips, to be honest, unless it's a Rangers strip or an Arsenal strip. That was about it. I never really had many.
Aye.
A couple of Bayern Munich ones at my mum bought me at the Forge Inn shops years ago. But
what about the worst strip, then? What's the worst strip you've ever seen?
Oh, there's a couple of horrible goalie strips, isn't there?
Aye.
They're always the worst ones, mad designs on them. But I don't know. Nah, I'm not too sure, Toby.
So, right, if you're on a desert island then, and you'd only 3 luxury items you could take with you, you can take anything at all with you, but you can't be able to use it to contact outside world, i.e. you can't talk to them, they can't talk to you, but you can listen in, you can see everything that's happening, but you just can't talk to them, and they can't see you or know that you're hearing it. So
I might prefer not to talk to anybody anyway, Toby, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind that, just being stuck myself in a desert island.
Bit of peace and quiet.
Aye, bit of peace and quiet away from all the madness. Take a ball away me. That'll keep me entertained for a while. I'll have a laptop with, obviously this is to have a battery that's going to run for years. And Chat Manager 0102. That'll keep me entertained. And I bought a big massive bottle of Factor 50 because I'd probably need that.
Burn it up. Good stuff. Anyway, so not really much more I can say. What about for Finnart in general as a club? We've always spoken about it. Are you the same ideas that everybody has been saying? It would be great to have a facility. What do you think about that? Do you think that's doable?
I think it is doable. I think it will happen. I think it's just going to be a case of when. But aye, I mean that would be brilliant. Imagine you turn up and you've got your own wee clubhouse. We've played a couple of teams in the last few years and they've got it, and it just makes things that wee bit better. You're not relying on anybody else. I think it'll happen. I don't know when. Maybe not happen when I'm playing, but I think over the next few years we'll probably start making a move towards getting that. And it would be brilliant. Everybody says it in the maybe lockdown questions that we've done. So it would be great to see it.
Talk about the lockdown questions. How did you like them? Whose was how would you say was the funniest?
The funniest, I don't know. There was a couple of good ones, wasn't there?
I still say Peyton because he didn't do it right. Remember they done it as a wee alien or something.
Aye, Peyton's always up to things like that. But
see, we were saying earlier on there, mate, I know about Danny.
Aye,
Danny's going to probably be next up because I've already chatted to his ear a few times about it. He is, as you say, he's very supportive in that, but it's just how he goes about it. He can't change that, innit? It's like,
aye,
you know yourself, he's right, but it's just the way he's put that across to you.
Aye.
They're totally different. When he's on the pitch, it's a shouting balling match at you, but see, I notice when he's off the pitch and he's no strict, he's no playing, it's a totally different way you're shouting to you to give you support and encouragement. He talks to you rather than berating you. Do you feel that I couldn't have it any other way with him? There's no other way you couldn't change him because he would lost that ability to shout and ball and I think he actually motivates people with shouting at him.
It probably does, Toby, just because it just riles him up. So there's that kind of built up anger or that. Something just riles you up when he starts saying it to people, and it does. But when he's off the park, he's brilliant. Don't get me wrong, when he's on the park, he's brilliant and all ability-wise. The guy was frightening. But he is, when he's off the park, he's so much better to be around and so much more constructive. But it's just the way he is, as you said. If you change the way he is on the park, then he probably lost something when he was playing.
I think the team had lost something as well with that.
It was frightening at times again.
Talk about yourself there. Obviously, we said that you won the top goal scorer one season. What's been your best goal then that you've scored with Finnart? Do you remember?
Well, during the lockdown questions, I says the overhead kick that I scored in a cup final against the treble 2. But there's been a few, to be fair, because talking after it and a few things start coming back to you. I mind we played Hurlford in the Scottish one year. We played them through there and they get a guy sent off. And it was the first. I'd end up with 2 sent off, but they had a guy sent off, and I thought to myself, right, we've got a right good chance here. Hurlford were well fancied at the time because they were a good side. And think, right, we've got a good chance here. But it was the first time I'd ever seen an amateur game where it was the crowd, there was people, there was like 3 and 4 deep, and the crowd just ruined this one wee local park. And it was just a wee bit weird. It was just mad the way they all turned up. And they're all shouting abuse at you and all that anytime you're near the side. But it must have gave them some lift, because I honestly think we probably should have got beat that day. Because they did end up going down to 9 men, but they had a couple of chances late on to win it. And we were hanging on just to get the replay.
Aye.
And we played them down the replay at the Green, I think we were 2-0 down just before half time, and we gave away a penalty. And Peyton saved it. Maybe one of the only penalty saves that Peyton's done for all the time I've known him. And it just kind of sparked us into life. I was a sub that day, right enough. I came on at half time. I'm sure I scored the first goal, which was the ball kind of broke after a corner just outside the box, and I curled one in the top corner. But that day itself was brilliant, because I remember Boise winning. He got the winning goal, and it was just no long after. There was an Old Firm game a week or two before it, and it was when Scott Brown done that brownie celebration to Juve. So he's running there, and everybody's just running there behind him, because we just scored the winning goal. I think we're winning 3-2. And he's running there, and before he gets there, I've already leapt half a grunt to jump on his back, and he just hits out with the brownie celebration right in front of them all. But things like that comes back to that was a cracking game, that one. But that was a cracking goal as well, because it kind of got us back in the game, kicked his own a wee bit. There's been a few other ones, so it depends how you look at it.
Aye, good stuff, mate. Said obviously about Boise. Scottish Cups. How many Scottish Cups did you win on with the amateurs?
2 on the Sunday.
That's good. So you left that open there as if 2 on the Sunday, but going to be one.
Right, we'll see what happens over the next few years. Hopefully we get a wee push. We've got a good squad there, kind of getting built up, so I might still be involved. I don't know.
Who was your wins against? Can you remember them?
Our wins? I can't. Do you know what? I can't remember the team in the first one. I maybe played Geet in the second one. The first one was
the Geet for the Arsha Barcelona.
Aye. I mean, I think they came up. They thought they were. I think they fancied themselves a wee bit, to be fair. And don't get me wrong, they did have a few good players, but we had a cracking team, to be fair, that year on the Sunday. So there was a lot of cracking players there.
I remember they done a video. They done a video with them turning up, coming off the bus, and then obviously put it all together. I don't know who it was that done it. It was a great video for us anyway, because it meant it's always there. It's still on. It's on YouTube somewhere. I mean, in fact, I'll find that, dig it out, and put it onto the page. But they fancied themselves, as you say. They did have a few good players, but we were just too good. And I think the good thing for us is you said yourself there. You played one, you'd won one of 4. People like Danny and that were involved. I think Craig was there, like your Boises, people like that who'd been in the team and won them before and knew what it took. You know what I mean, to get the result, and they knew what it was about. So when the time came to step in the ball and dig in, they done that right away. They didn't give him a chance for the minute we started. I think Div McKay on it. So
he scored a peach after he scored the first goal. It was an absolute cracker.
So did you know cross the ball for Danny's goal?
Aye, a free kick. You know, right. I think that was the last goal actually.
Aye, it was Danny's. He did it at the back door. But yeah, I just seeing that and watching the way you played that day, it was fantastic. You know what I mean? And the good thing is, as I say, that stats out there, so we need to get that up. But aye, so 2 now, as you say, like that. You've won 2 amateurs so
2
far.
on the Sunday. So I don't know, but you never know how it's going to go in the Scottish pitch.
Listen, if you can't think you're going to win something, what's the point of getting it? You give a chance, and it's 90 minutes on that pitch. The 2 teams, it's a level playing field. Any team can have their day. You know what I mean? But that's it, mate. Anyway, all I've got to say is thanks very much, and good luck for when the season actually comes round a bit, mate. Hopefully he's got after win and start with that final. As I said, it was cancelled. Well, not cancelled, postponed, we'll say. For last season to when this one starts. Cheers for taking the time out to talk to us here on the Talk for the Toll. Monistar.
No worries, Toby. Thanks for having me.